And now I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker, Ambaree Majumdar. Ambaree is a social entrepreneur. She is the founder of Vegan Kino. She is certified in plant-based nutrition. She educates people on how their choice of food has a massive impact on our planet and on our physical, mental, and emotional health. She is a speaker. She speaks at various platforms, including corporates, universities, schools, and many other places on the topic of plant-based diet and various aspects related to it. And she has herself raised two children on a completely plant-based diet. And Ambaree is very passionate about educating and empowering parents and families to lead healthy, sustainable, plant-based lifestyle. So her topic today is peace on our plate. So I now welcome Ambaree. Ambaree, over to you.
Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Navneet. I get to see you finally.
Yes, we are very excited to hear you share.
Yeah, I'm also very excited to be here, and I'm very happy. I was listening to Luke, and it was such a wonderful talk. And I feel that there are going to be certain areas which are going to be common between what he said and what I'm going to be saying. So I will just, first of all, share my screen. Just give me a second. Yeah. So can you see this piece on our plate? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So first of all, namaste everybody, and thank you for joining me. And I feel totally honored to be a part of this event where such wonderful speakers are actually speaking. I've not been a part of such events, too many of them actually. And as Navneet introduced me as a speaker, I speak about the health benefits and the environmental benefits and the compassion avenue of our food choices. However, I seldom get to share the real reason why I actually lead a life the way I do. I am vegan, and which means I don't eat meat, dairy, eggs, and fish, and I don't use any product that comes out of an animal. And what I would like to share with you a story which I have not shared with too many people, because when Navneet actually came to me about this event, I was like, what is it that I can say from my own life, something that I can share, which has made a difference in me. It was sometime in the when I was like really young, like 4 or 5 years old, and I was playing in the balcony, and then I saw one, like an army of ants. They were all like one after another, and they were just walking. It was very intriguing for me as a kid, and what I was doing was that I'm very embarrassed of that thing which I did. I was trying to block one, like any particular ant from moving forward. I wanted to see what the ant does when does the ant lose its way, does the ant get like take a u-turn and go back, or what does it do? So I was doing it, and when I was doing it, I realized that uh, as long as I'm not picking the ant up and putting the ant really far from the army, uh, the ant would somehow find its way back and join his army. That was very intriguing for me, and I was doing it, doing this, and there was this person who came, and I don't remember who she was. I remember it was a lady. That time we had a lot of people in our house. So she came and told me something which actually changed the way I saw life. Um, sometimes things happen to you, and you are like, you don't know that how impactful that can be. So she told me that if you are intentionally bothering somebody who you can choose not to bother, then somebody else is going to bother you at some point of time, when that person would have had another choice of not bothering you. I don't know if I'm able to explain this properly, because I just feel that it is something that sorry, my screen is, oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. So basically, what she tried to say was that you are a human being, and that's an ant, but you are also going to be an ant before somebody else who's more powerful than you. And that analogy, the way, I don't know how she might have explained it to me for me to understand it at that very tender age, that just because I have the power to destroy something, um, it doesn't mean that I use my power to destroy it. I can always choose not to do it, as long as that being is not coming in my way of life. And if I choose to be cruel, then somebody else is going to choose to be cruel to me. So it was an oversimplification, I guess, but it was still something that stayed in my mind, and the shortest moral lesson that I had, and that stayed with me, like even till today, for decades. So before I just go into my presentation for today, I just want to tell you about what exactly a vegan is, because unfortunately, it's a term that is not very very popular yet. It is, of course, it's gaining a lot of speed, but it's still something people don't understand very well. Vegetarianism is something that a lot of people understand. So, a vegan is a person who abstains from consuming or using animal derived foods or products, which includes any food products, which is like meat, dairy, eggs, fur, leather, wool, or fish, or even honey. So that's what a vegan does. And there is a new term which is often interchangeably used, which is plant-based diet. So a plant-based diet, or a person who's on a plant-based diet, necessarily is not vegan, because they are probably eating a particular diet because of their health reasons or for other reasons, but might be using leather, might be using even honey. So I will be using these two terms, vegan and plant-based lifestyle, interchangeably, as I said here, because I am going to be talking mostly about food. Okay, so as I was telling you, that at a very young age, that 4 or 5 years, when I was that kid, 4 or 5 years old, when that lady told me about how my actions have to be I need to be accountable for my actions, and I need to be responsible for what I do. uh, at that time I didn't understand what karma was, what is karma, and how karma gets back to us and things like that. But that one sentence that she had said, that the ant is an ant in front of you, but you might be an ant in front of somebody else. And that totally, it was mind boggling for me, and I was like, I'm an ant. I can be so small in front of somebody else. That really changed the way I looked at life. And then another incident happened, which also changed my perspective of how I looked at feelings, and how I started recognizing other people's feelings. This was sometime when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and because of certain family conditions, I had to go to a boarding school. And that was the time when I faced feelings like loneliness, uh, feeling of the really painful feeling of being away from my parents, being really cornered for a short period of time. But as Luke said, that every negative, or let's say every difficult situation that we face, actually makes us stronger, which they did to me as well. But I did not forget those feelings. I mean, I made sure that I am not the reason why these feelings come to another person. Okay, like for example, before this boarding school experience, probably I would indulge into bullying another person. uh, it's okay. I would think it's okay to laugh at another person. It's okay if I find that person funny, just laugh, never really considering how the person might be feeling when they're being laughed at. However, when I went into my boarding school and I was alone for the first time, like literally alone, and I didn't even have the support of my family at that time when inside the school, I was at the receiving end. And those 2 years, after those 2 years, I made sure that I don't put intentionally, I don't put anybody on the receiving end of anything negative, as much as I could, as much as things were in my control. And this I did for a very selfish reason, actually. At that age, I didn't really want to be the universal guru of giving, and of mercy. I didn't understand. I did it for a very selfish reason. I thought that the most effective way for good things to happen to me would be that I do good things. you know it was as simple and as easy in my head as I said it. I thought that if I do only good things, then only good things will happen to me, which is to some extent true. As I'm older now, I do understand, but that doesn't save us from the experiences which might not be as good. And as Luke was saying, that we should welcome all sorts of experiences. And so but anyway, so it was during that time, like really formative years, when I decided that as long as I am in control, I'm going to make sure that nobody has to feel the brunt of my cruelty, as such. So if you see, if as much as I spoke about these two incidents, if you see, what exactly I was trying to do was that I was trying to find peace with myself. I was trying to answer questions that my conscience was asking me. I wanted to be able to face myself. I didn't want to feel guilty while looking at myself. And if my conscience asked me a question, I didn't want to ignore that question or duck that question. I wanted to be very confident uh, about answering myself. So that's, for me, that's what is peace. If I'm able to face my own conscience, and if I'm able to answer the if I'm able to be responsible for my actions, that's what gives me peace. um and I feel that finding peace is of utmost importance, of course, but also, because I had that feeling in my head that I should be able to answer myself, I also stopped giving a lot of value to what others thought of me at that age. And I'm a mother of two children now, and I understand. When I see my children at different age groups, and I always feel that, wow, I must have been really emotionally awakened at a very young age, that I thought of these things and put these theories in my head, and I worked according to those, not knowing whether they're right or wrong. I still don't know what is right, what is wrong, but we just I just make sure that I am on the path of finding peace with myself, with my own actions. So I just want to tell you, talk a little bit about compassion and kindness and empathy and love and respect. No matter which cultural background we might be from, we are always taught to be to be compassionate. We are taught about kindness, and it is that attribute that is normally present in all religious teachings. That is in one form or another. We are always given stories, fictional, non-fictional, as children, that in some story somebody showed compassion, and then that person became a hero. And another story, somebody didn't show a lot of compassion, didn't know how to forgive, and then that person is like an anti-hero in our eyes. So compassion is universal. Compassion is something that we teach our children, and that we learned as when we were children. And honestly, compassion, actually, thankfully, comes very organically to humans. I mean, we don't need to be taught to be compassionate. Like as a baby or as a child, uh, the child just knows how to love his mother or his father or his caretaker. It is ingrained in us to be compassionate towards others who are around us. In fact, the other way, like for example, when a child grows up and he sees, oh, there is a selective compassion happening. Like for example, as they grow up, they see that we should be compassionate to our pet dog, but probably extending that compassion to another animal who might not be a dog is something that is not very welcomed. Like, so it is okay for me to be compassionate towards my pet dog, and it is okay if I'm not so much to the chicken, or let's say the pig who I'm eating. So these selective compassion, as the child encounters these selective compassion, um, encounters people who are selectively compassionate, it kind of confuses that child. And then what he does is he doesn't think about compassion at all. He thinks about convenience, right? The universal compassion that he was born with gets blocked, and he starts thinking about what is useful, what is beneficial, what is easy. Go for something that is easy for you, and compassion goes on the back foot. So in what I'm trying to say is that compassion doesn't need to be taught. However, as we grow, we might forget how we were born with compassion, and we get conditioned to be selectively compassionate. And as much as there is discrimination of this kind around the world, there is counter discrimination as well. Counter discrimination campaigns, which I mean like anti-racist campaigns. There are anti-sexism campaigns. There are LGBT rights campaigns. Like, as we speak, there must be so many thousands of campaigns happening online and offline. Probably online nowadays because of COVID, but there are anti discrimination campaigns happening all over. The but So the reason that lies at the core of these campaigns is that we should not discriminate. So discrimination, whenever we feel that another being is different from me, and it is okay for me to be mean to that being because he's different, that's where compassion is lost, or kindness is lost. And that's where racism comes into picture. That's where sexism comes into the picture, and LGBT rights violation comes into the picture, and all sorts of other discriminations, that classism comes into the picture, right? So the reason that lies at the core of these is the fact that although a person from a different gender or a race or sexual orientation might be different from us in certain ways, but they are still the same when it comes to fundamental desires. So the fact that I'm an Indian, uh, might I am Indian, and I might be different from another person who's Chinese, but our fundamental desires to live a happy life, to love our family members, to run away from danger, to protect our children. These are very fundamental attributes which are identical between me and the other person. So although there are differences, but there are fundamentally we are the same. So these campaigns help people realize that we need to break down the walls that we have around us and extend and open our hearts, and really don't have to categorize our kindness based on who we are extending it to. Now, before I get into the food part of it, till now I was just giving you an idea about where I got these ideas from. I actually did not read anything, or they just came to me. These feelings and these principles came to me from I guess from the universe. I really, and at the age of 4 or 5, or even when you're 10, which spiritual book do you read? But they came to me. So let me just give you the next slide. In the next slide, I will be talking about certain industries which are actually running based on discrimination. They are selling their products and they are growing because discrimination exists in this world. So I will tell you how that is. I want to start with this industry called the egg industry. right? In nature, a hen is designed to lay about 12 to 13 eggs a year. Okay, that's like, so probably one egg a month or a little bit more than that. um, so can you guess how many eggs a farm chicken lays in today's world? It's 300 eggs. She has to lay 300 eggs in order to meet the demand, that is the demand of eggs in today's world. So if I don't discriminate between me and a hen, uh, uh, on the platform, on the fact that I can have children, and the chicken can lay eggs, but we are identical in the way we need to give birth to our next generation. If I do that, then a human being is probably a human female is probably designed to have like 15 or let's say 20 children, right, in their in their lifetime. What if a female was re-engineered in such a way that she was forced to give birth to, let's say, 400 children, human children? So the cruelty that the female human would be facing would be similar to what these hens are facing in today's world in the factory farms. Apart from that, after the in the egg industry, another thing happens is that as soon as they are born, the chicks are born, the male chicks are separated, the female chicks are separated. Male chicks are of no use to the industry, so they are they are like garbage, right? And the industry does not want to really spend even a penny on discarding the garbage, or just removing it from the picture. So what do? They do the easiest thing, or the most economically viable thing, and that is they either suffocate them to death, these baby chicks, which are like male baby chicks, which are 1 day old probably, and or they grind them alive. It is actually very easy for me to pull out a video from YouTube and show it, but I don't want to do that because I feel that will not serve the purpose. It will just be a bit too much violence for people to encounter. So I feel that it is important that I tell you the facts, and you just do your research yourself, because after all, we are all responsible for each of our actions. And female chicks who are useful to the industry, they are debeaked. Their beaks are put into those hot blades, and then they are debeaked. The reason for debeaking is because they don't when they grow, they don't want, and they live in very, very crowded cages, and because of that, there is a lot of fight that happens, and the injuries that happen. Not that the industry cares about their injuries, but because of those injuries, they get infected and they might die, which is again a financial loss for them, which they want to avoid. So cut off the beaks at that age, which is of course a very painful process for a baby chick to encounter. The next thing that I want to tell you about is the dairy industry. And I know that a lot of Hindus and people who are vegetarian, probably they don't eat meat and fish, and some of them don't even eat eggs, but they are heavy consumers of dairy, because it is a part of our culture. Krishna drank milk, he ate butter, and so we always want to somehow follow just that part about Krishna's lifestyle, and not the other things that he did. But anyway, dairy is a very important aspect of our vegetarian diet. However, we have to understand that vegetarianism of the olden days, by olden days I mean like thousands of years ago, and vegetarianism today are totally different, right? Vegetarianism today has unlimited dairy supply in it. Like if you have the money to buy dairy, you can just go to the supermarket and buy dairy. It was not so in the times of Krishna. And we all know how Krishna treated his cows, right? He played with them, he respected them, he gave them dignity. He didn't steal their children away from the mothers. So in contrast, what happens in today's dairy industry is just something that I feel Krishna would not have really liked if he saw. What happens in today's dairy industry is that female cows are artificially inseminated, and the artificial insemination is just so violent, and just it is just it just ruins feminism, if you ask me, because it is a systematic rape of female cows. Somebody with some semen, or would just put in their hand into put in their fist into the anus of the cow and release it there. Most of the times the female cow's legs are tied by rope when that process is happening. It's the most cruel thing to do to a female, whether it is a human or a cow or a dog, it really doesn't matter. But when a human is doing it purposely with the intention of doing it, then it's cruel, and it's violation, and it's tearing apart dignity from any female. That is how the process begins. Artificial insemination happens, then she gets pregnant. As soon as she gets pregnant, the baby, the calf is taken away from the mother, because we don't want the calf to drink the milk which we want to sell, right? To people who are so crazy about eating and consuming dairy. um, Separating a child, I mean a baby, from a mother, again, although I might be a human, and the cow is non-human, but the feeling of motherhood is universal. You can see a mother cow or a mother cat or a mother anybody, a mother bonding with a child is identical to how a human bonds with her child, a human mother bonds with her human baby. So that although we are different, but we are very similar, we are actually identical when it comes to motherhood. So separating a baby or tearing apart a baby from their mother is identical to what that mother and the baby feel is identical to what me and if something like that would happen to me, I would feel. So it's identical. As you can see in this picture, the farmer is actually taking her baby away, and she's fighting. Unfortunately, she would have lost that battle, because the farmer has more resources, the farmer is powerful, the farmer can tie up the mother and forcibly take the child away. The farmer has a truck in which the baby is taken away. The mother cannot keep up to that speed. So the mother has to keep on losing babies, they keep on getting artificially inseminated, keep on delivering. And also don't forget the process of giving birth, right? That's equally traumatic for every mammal. Then after giving birth, she starts producing milk, but the milk is taken away, and the baby is taken away. The male calves are given to beef industry or leather industry, and the females are taken away so that they don't drink the mother's milk, so that humans can drink the cow mother's milk. And the female baby is taken to the dairy industry again, so that she can also become a slave, a milk machine, and a part of that dairy industry. I just want to tell you a little bit about seafood, and because in spirituality, what I believe in, and as much as I know, we need to respect ourselves, we need to respect our planet, and we need to respect other earthlings. Uh, it might shock you that there are like about 7 billion people in this on this planet, but we kill 1 trillion and 185 billion marine animals every year for food consumption. Okay, so if at all any of these products, let's say meat or dairy or eggs or fish, if any of them were serving a real purpose to humanity, like it was giving us something that we would not be able to get from plant sources, then that's fine. Then let's continue doing that. But the fact of the matter is that they don't give us any nutrition which we cannot achieve from a plant-based diet. So the only reason why 1 trillion and 185 billion marine animals are losing their lives is because uh, it's just a habit for us to eat them. It's just a habit, and we like the taste, right? So the good news, fortunately, is that habits can change, taste buds can change if we want them to. I'm sure a lot of people might have, we didn't like, for example, I never liked the pea shoots. It's a vegetable you get in Singapore very easily. So, but my son, he loves pea shoots. So when he loves it so much, I would cook for him, and then I would also eat them. And then, like within like a few weeks, I started enjoying it, right? So the grassy flavor which I used to really not like, I started enjoying it. So taste buds can change, habits can change. If people who are addicted to smoking can quit smoking, then quitting dairy, fish, meat and eggs is really something. Not, you don't even need a lot of willpower, to be honest. It's just you have to decide that let me start doing something. And it's not really about giving up on everything, and that okay, from tomorrow I'm not going to eat anything. That's really not the point. The point is that you be aware and be conscious of what you're eating and how much you're eating, and at the same time try to make small or big changes. And we are not here to prove ourselves to be better or bigger than anybody else. We are just answerable to ourselves, like the way I started off, that I wanted to just answer myself, to be at peace with myself. uh, the reason why I don't want to talk a lot about meat in the meat industry is because first of all, I feel that we all know how meat lands on our plate. They lead a very disrespectful life where there is no dignity. They are born into darkness, and the only time they get to really feel sunlight on their skin is, if they're lucky, then it is only when they are being transported to the slaughterhouse. So discrimination, as I said in the beginning, discrimination can happen because of our skin color, it can happen because of our gender, it can happen because of our sexual orientation, class, so many things. But discrimination to the point where a living being is denied the privilege of feeling the warmth of sunlight happens only with farm animals. They are denied even sunlight, right? So I'm almost coming to the end of my speech, but before I go, I just want to highlight again about discrimination. So discrimination occurs when some people are treated differently. Some people, by people I mean living beings, and they're treated differently because they belong to a group which is normally not changeable. Like, for example, I am born a woman, right? If I am treated differently or badly because I'm just born the way I am, then that's called discrimination. A gay person, if a gay person is treated badly because he's born gay, then that's discrimination. If a cow, if a mother cow is forcibly taken away from her child because she's born a cow, then that's discrimination. So discrimination of any sort, whether it is racism, speciesism, that the term that I have used for the first time today is speciesism. Speciesism is discrimination based on discrimination. You do discriminate other beings because they are born into other species. That's called speciesism. These are all identical in the core, in the fundamental platform. They are a form of discrimination. So racism, if you oppose racism or sexism, then opposing speciesism should come naturally to you. At one point of time, racism was legal, right? Racism, I think I think about 600-700 years ago, uh, enslaving blacks by whites, it was a normal thing, right? The whites thought that blacks were born to be their slaves. Women were were not given the right to vote, and I think it still happens in certain countries. So as soon as you're born into the female gender, you are not given certain privileges, you're not given education in certain countries. So all these things are normal. So just because something is normal, we should not shut down our moral faculties. Just the way racism was normal, racism was normal at one point of time. Today speciesism is normal, and we have the power to change, and we have the power to give examples to the world that it really is up in our hands whether we want to treat another being belonging to another species differently only because they are born into that species. So Joaquin Phoenix, the greatest actor of our time, he's vegan. And if you this photo, I don't know if you have seen this picture. It's a very this is a viral picture, and he says that the idea that being non-human animals are not human, their interest in their lives matters less than our interest in our lives. That is called speciesism. Animals want to live a respectful, dignified life as much as we do, just similar, very very identical to what we do. Coming to the last part of my speech. So if you are already eating a diet which is non-vegan, you might be wondering, so if I don't eat meat, or if I don't eat fish and dairy and eggs, what am I going to eat? Am I going to like really eat grass? Am I going to live on tomatoes? Or just no, that's not true. I am vegan, and this is what we eat. Vegan food is just like any other food. If you cook it well, if you flavor it well, actually they taste better. Because I was a carnivorous till 2005 or 6, and and I know what meat tastes like, and I know if you invest a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, which I think this planet deserves, because animal agriculture is one of the biggest destroyers of the environment and the biggest contributor of greenhouse gas emissions, which I talk about in my environmental talk, but I don't want to talk about it over here. um, if you really love your planet, and if you really love yourself, and if you want to extend your compassion to our fellow earthlings, then eating this kind of then investing your time and effort into learning to cook, or changing your habits, or changing or modifying your taste buds, it might be something that you might want to consider doing. So I will end my talk here today. If there's anybody who wants to ask me a question, then please go ahead. In the meantime, I am also so Vegan Cano, as Navneet introduced. Vegan Cano is my brand. It's something that where I give, using which I give speeches, and I also am a recipe creator, and I'm bringing up my children vegan. So you can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Ambaree. That was very enlightening talk, and you introduced to us the idea of speciesism and how compassion can actually give way to selective compassion and convenience. We are really very appreciative of that. Perhaps you could share with us how someone can start on their journey and not and let go of their cravings completely. If they are moving from this journey of meat eating to vegetarian to veganism.
So it really so there are people who can do this overnight, and then there are people who take a long time to do it. Like I went vegetarian overnight. Okay, from eating meat and fish, I became a vegetarian overnight. It was very easy for me. But from vegetarianism to veganism, I took 9 years. But I was on the journey. So it really depends on the person, on how much exposure that, and how much research really that person is doing. And fortunately today we have so much social media exposure that it is very easy for people to connect to others who are vegan. When I was trying to go vegan, I didn't have any support. I didn't know anybody who was doing it, so I took a very, very long time. So if you ask me how they should do it, probably they can start with one meal a day, which is a green meal. By a green meal, I mean a vegan meal, which does not have fish, eggs, dairy, or meat. It can be anything. It can be your breakfast. It can be your dinner. Just go on like that for about as long as you want. You for a month, eat one green meal every day, and then slowly extend it to 2 meals. Take your time. I mean, really, it's really about facing yourself, facing your own conscience. If you're on a journey and you are trying your best, then I don't think we need to be answerable to anybody, because we are trying, right? So as long as you're trying your best, you can start with one meal, you can start with 2 meals, or if you are one of those who can go overnight, then you're of course most welcome. And if you want any kind of help from me with recipes, because if you are a parent, then you have to think about your children. I know that. And one of the reasons why my children are vegan was because I became vegan and I did not want to eat differently from them. I wanted everybody to eat the same food. So if you need help, then please reach out to me. Maybe I will just I don't know how to connect to everybody and give my email ID. Then just reach out to me. I guess Navneet can help me with that, and I can help you with your specific problem. Different people have different problems, so I can help you with all of them.
Oh, thank you so much, Ambaree.
Anything for any of this. This is a social entrepreneurship, and this is a social venture completely. And this is something that I do for the planet and for the animals, and of course for human health. So please reach out to me whenever you want.
Oh, thank you so much, Ambaree. We really, really appreciate. I know there's so many people that want to make the transition, and and having the support and knowing that they can find good recipes and really make the change is very, very
Yes.
helpful. So I really
Thank
appreciate you gracing us and your
thank
presence and sharing your wisdom and knowledge at the summit with us today. Thank you so
thank you
much.
so much for inviting me, Navneet.